Good evening, everyone. You know what it is? It's Tuesday night. And what are we doing tonight? Well, again, we're holding a candid candidate conversation sponsored by or hosted by Win with Black Women and Sisters Lead, Sisters Vote. This is the place and the space where we center truth, leadership, and power of our voices in the political process. This space is about more than politics, it's about building power, asking the tough questions, and hearing directly from the women who are stepping up to lead at every level. We know Black women have always been the backbone of democracy, and here we create the space to engage, inform, and mobilize. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we have another fabulous candidate that we will be hearing from tonight. Joining me on the stage is Amanda Edwards. She is running for U.S. Congress, 18th District, Texas. Welcome, Sister Amanda.
Thank you so much for having me. I could not be more excited. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, politics is everywhere, and so you are running for U.S. Congress. So, what inspired you to run?
Just to kind of give a little bit about my background, I was born, raised, and I still live in the 18th Congressional District. And I am running to be the next Congresswoman for the 18th Congressional District. And for those that are not familiar with that particular district, this is the seat that was once held by Barbara Jordan, Mickey Leland, Craig Washington, Sheila Jackson Lee, and of course, Sylvester Turner, who recently passed, which has created a vacancy. And for me, it's personal that we get it right. When I was growing up, my dad was sick with something called multiple myeloma. And that's a very aggressive form of cancer. And during his time, he was diagnosed with it when I was about 10, and he passed away from it when I was a teenager. But I remember asking my father questions as to whether or not his life-saving treatments would be covered by this insurance stuff that I was learning about. And when I'd ask him that, and I said, well, what happens if they say no? He would say, well, we'd have to figure something else out. And although I was a young teen at that time, I knew that wasn't the right answer. And that I knew that at that time, we've got to have systems that actually work for people as opposed to against them. And the reason being is because you have real lives that are lying in a balance. And so that's always been a motivating force behind my desire to serve, is the urgency of the issues, the lives that are hanging in a balance, the significance and impact of the work that you can use these platforms to do. And in particular with Congress, having the ability to legislate, having the ability to advocate, having the ability to provide direct constituent service. I got my start 20 years ago in Congresswoman Jackson Lee's office in Washington, D.C. So this is very much a full circle moment for me, and an opportunity to really deliver the change and the results that our community has been looking for and that they deserve.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to segue right into that answer that you just gave and asked, because you listed a lot of great people who have held this seat before you, and mentioned working in one of their offices. So who are your political role models or leaders you admire, and what have you learned from them?
There's so many, and I'll start with the first, which is Barbara Jordan. She was the first to hold the seat once the seat was created in Houston. And just being a true trailblazer in a variety of ways. There were so many rooms that she wasn't supposed to be in. There were so many blocks and obstacles that she had to overcome, and she never let it shake her. She never let her commitment to the community waver as a result of the challenges that she had to endure. So thinking about her, and not just her powerful voice, not just her powerful oratory skills, but the work that she did. One of the things that they don't talk about much with respect to Barbara Jordan was how effective of a leader she was, because she knew how to govern. And a lot of what happens now is not governance. We are right now having a lot of dysfunction in that regard. But she was excellent at figuring out ways, making a way out of no way, figuring out compromise when necessary, and really pushing her community forward. And so on our campaign, we talk a lot about placing people over politics. And I think she is the embodiment of that and has inspired generations of leaders like me and others that have come before, and probably others that will come behind us.
Well, what kind of leadership do you think Congress needs more of right now? Because you're talking about, kind of what we're seeing happening today. What do we need more of in Congress?
We need clear vision, bold vision for our community that propels us forward. Right now, I think a lot of people are feeling anxious. They're feeling overwhelmed. We have a president. Let me back up. We are living in unprecedented times. Let me just start by saying that. And we have a president who doesn't believe in the rule of law, who doesn't believe that we should have access to things like healthcare and education and economic opportunity for our families. And so we are fighting a battle of trying not to reverse the hands of time with respect to progress that has been made, and also trying to forge a path forward for our communities and our families. And so as a result, he's come in, there's been all sorts of chaos, executive orders here, there, all of this disruption intended to create a situation in which we get discouraged, overwhelmed, and then disengaged. And when people disengage, we can expect more of the same. And so what I think is needed is for us to get back up, have a strategic vision of our path forward. You've got to play offense and you've got to play defense. And I tease, where I'm from, we know how to play both. And we've got to get up and be strategic about how we stand up in a moment like this. And our strategy in a moment like this will need to involve clear communication, needs to engage our constituents, our residents, with what they can do also to make a difference in a time like this. It also needs to involve making sure that we are finding opportunities where we don't see them on the surface to try to make a difference in our communities. And so we've got to have clear leadership who's going to be bold, who's going to stand up, and still at the same time do what I call walking and chewing gum. You got to play defense. You got to deal with what comes your way, but you've got to find those opportunities to forge the path forward for your constituents. They're depending on us to be clever in figuring out how to navigate a very, very challenging environment.
Thank you. I want to ask you, give us a vision. What does it look like when you are representing this district? What does that look like in action?
You know,
What's the vision?
Absolutely. And I love that you asked that question, because so often that's where leadership begins, is having a vision, your why. What are you trying to strive towards? And I believe that it is absolutely essential that we create an 18th congressional district, and a United States for that matter, where every single person, no matter what their background, no matter where they live, no matter where they went to school, has an opportunity not just to get by day to day, but we need them to thrive every day. And that means that we have got to put into place those meat and potatoes issues and get those right for people. And what do I mean by that? I'm talking about education access. We've seen the president dismantling the Department of Ed. We've seen states like Texas, where I live, undercutting the funding available to public education. We've got to fight back on that. We've also got to make sure that healthcare access is more readily available as opposed to less accessible to people. And finally, economic opportunity, whether I'm talking about small businesses of color, whether I'm talking about women-owned small businesses, or jobs, or make sure that these are available to our residents.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you a couple of fun questions.
Okay.
because I want people to know you. Because I know
Okay.
you're out on the campaign trail, and that can be long and grueling. But
Okay.
I'm going to ask you, what's one piece of advice given to you by your grandmother, an auntie, or another elder, or sage sister that you carry with you every day?
Hmm. That's a
Mhm.
good question.
Mhm.
I don't know. I got to think about that one. A sage piece of advice that I carry with me. Um, what always comes to mind is grace under fire and never let them see you sweat. A lot of times we are, especially as Black women, we come across many obstacles and many challenges in our path. And I think, there are moments where you have to take a moment to reset and regather yourself. But I think we've got to, always remain who we are, always remain poised, always remain strong, and of course engage in that self care. But be the essence of who you are. And I think that means that grace under fire, because I think that is the embodiment of the Black woman's experience in this country.
Okay, okay. So here's another one.
Okay.
What's a hobby or a talent that you have that folks might not expect from a congressional candidate?
Oh, that's easy. So I would say I grew up playing sports. So most people see the heels and the dresses, and they would not peg me as having been a student athlete and growing up. And I was. And if I have to break out the basketball, I can. And so I would say volleyball and basketball, and the fact that I played sports and took it pretty seriously growing up. So that's my little secret talent. I think most people would be surprised to hear about, except for the charity basketball game we had when I was a city council member and we won. So
Okay. Okay. Wait a minute now. What was your position on the basketball
I was
team?
a shooting guard. Of course.
Okay.
Of
Okay. So
course.
was I. So was I. See, you never know what you have in common. I also played volleyball.
Did you? What did you play?
I was okay. I was okay. I was, that really wasn't my thing, but mostly basketball, mostly
I was
basketball.
a setter and outside hitter in volleyball.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, "Ooh."
Yeah, that wasn't my sport. That wasn't
That
my
wasn't it.
sport. So, okay. Well, wait a minute. Let's see. Who would we're gonna talk about some teams now. Who
Okay.
would be on your dream all Black woman advisory team, past or present? Who you got? Who you drafted?
Ooh. How many people do I get to
This
put?
this is your team.
My team.
This is
Okay.
your team.
So I gotta bring our forever first lady in there. I gotta bring
Okay.
her forever first lady, and have her there, Michelle Obama. So that's the first one. The second, I have to have our forever vice president slash whatever she wants to be next, and that is Kamala Harris. I had the great fortune of getting a chance to speak after her, a few people after her, at the Emerge event that she spoke at a couple weeks ago, and for the first time after leaving office. And she's just so inspiring. So I would add her to my mix. I've got to pick Oprah. And the reason we got to pick Oprah is because I think she brings that sage outside, be your best self advice to the table. So I think we need that. And then I think we need our in there they can be dead or alive.
They can, past or present.
Okay.
This
So
is
I
your
would
team.
add Barbara Jordan to mine. Can we have that?
Yeah,
Um, so I would definitely put her there in terms of leadership. And I would say I would love to kind of hear from some of our activists of the past, and I would put Rosa Parks on my advisory council, simply because we've got a real movement on our hands today that we need to embark upon, and one right now where there is a lack of clarity, but one where leadership can bring clarity. And I think that is the challenge ahead of us, is to figure out how do we navigate not just outside of these circumstances, but towards our full potential. You know, that's where we ought to be going, is that each time we pass this baton forward, it's like a relay race. You pass it forward, and you're gonna make some gains. What are our gains on this leg of the race? And we're all on a collective journey together. When I first, ran for this seat, I announced on Juneteenth on purpose, because it was because of the fact that we're on a collective journey that's been a long one, that has involved lots of struggle, but we're no stranger to resilience, that we are a resilient community. And that's what this work is about being resilient. It's about reaching your potential and helping others to do the same.
Okay. Those are some interesting choices.
Thank you.
All right. So one more fun question. One more fun question. Finish this sentence.
Okay.
If elected, the first playlist I'm bumping on the way includes what?
Well, it depends. You know, I actually like Brent Fayez, and I know that's not like the up to beat update. I mean, up to upbeat music that I should be listening to, but I like him. I like him. If I'm thinking about, I'm gonna have to go with some girl power music, and I'm gonna have to probably do something with Beyonce. With girls empowerment with the seat, especially because it was held by Barbara Jordan and Sheila Jackson Lee, and Congresswoman Jackson Lee held it for 30 years. And so we know we have a huge deficit as it relates to women being represented in Congress. And so this is an opportunity to increase the numbers. And so I'd have to do something girl power centered, with a little bit of Beyonce too. I mean, of course, I'm from Houston, so I gotta put my Beyonce in there.
Okay. Okay. So as we kind of come to a close, you've been out on the trail, and you alluded to this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about those kitchen table issues. There
Mm-hmm.
are groups that kind of feel overlooked
Oh yeah.
right now and unheard and unseen. What are you going to do to make those groups feel part of the process, feel heard and seen?
You know, I was a city council member when something called Hurricane Harvey hit Houston. And that was at the time the second worst disaster in US history. We had 51 inches of rainfall, billions of dollars in damage, lots of people who lost their homes and whose homes were just in disrepair. And I learned that a lot of our seniors were not getting the help that they needed. And so we started going door to door to check on them. They were, cleaning up, but they couldn't get the walls removed from their house, which means they were going to get mold and things like that. So we just started canvassing, hundreds of people mobilized. We started knocking on doors to check on these seniors and get them the help they needed. And when I would step foot on those doorsteps, the first thing that they would say to me when I would knock on their doors was, "What are you doing here?" And I'd say, "Well, I'm your city council member. I'm here to help." And then they'd ask me, "Well, wait a minute. Are you up for reelection already?" And the fact that we have conditioned our residents to believe that even in the face of the second worst disaster in the United States history, that we would only be there because we need something from them, as opposed to actually be there to do our jobs and make deposits into their life when needed, that represents a broken democracy for a lot of people. And it's not just those folks who were living in those homes on those doorsteps years ago. This is the feeling and experience that so many of our Americans and our residents encounter. They feel exploited by the process. We know how to find you during campaign season. We know your name, your address, when you vote, how you vote, what coffee you drink when you vote. We know it all. But then we get amnesia when it's time to deliver change. We get amnesia when it's time to get the results that we talk about on these trails. And so what my goal here is to do is to rebuild that trust that has been eroded and broken. Um, Re-engage people by listening and hearing. You can't lead a people if you don't understand and engage with them. And I think that's part of this. But most importantly, by welcoming people to hold me accountable. So it doesn't matter if we're friends, it doesn't matter if you like me. What matters is that I can make a difference in your lives. Transformative differences can result as a result of my service if elected to this seat. And that is what I want to make sure that residents know and can be a part of, can engage with our campaign to tell us about and elevate their issues so that we can tailor real solutions to address them. And then of course, be effective at the job. It does you no good just for me to give an amazing campaign speech and a stump speech somewhere if your life isn't changing as a result. And that's how people are feeling. And so they need to be able to trust somebody to be really able to do the things that they talk about on these campaign trails, which is delivering results in the communities that need them most. I would also say, our campaign is about placing people over politics. So I'm not the normal establishment politician. I'm somebody who's in the community, been in the community, and will always be doing the work of the community because it's just in me to do that. And so they know that my use of this platform to get things done will have a direct impact on the outcomes that they experience in their community. And so that's why this is important. And I say that this race isn't about me being on the ballot. It's about the community getting what it needs, and the community is on the ballot. Our future is on the ballot. And having the conversation around that, as well as elevating the issues and really hearing the concerns, is important. We know that what happened with the presidential election isn't what we had intended, right? And there's a math problem stemming from people staying at home. But why? Having those conversations, re-engaging them, bringing them back in the fold with somebody they can trust that will actually do the work and not exploit them, just talking about the work. And I think that is what is essential, what people are demanding to see. And I represent that for our district, but also this new wave of leaders that are coming into the fold, to be effective and to create change in their communities.
Well, tell us, when is your election? Because we've talked a lot about you running, but when is this election?
We've experienced a lot of loss in this district. This was the seat once held by Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. She passed away, sadly, in 2024 in the summertime. It was then the seat held by Congressman Sylvester Turner, who passed away in March of this year. And so there's been a long time in which there's been vacancies for the seat, and the 800,000 people in the seat deserve to have leadership now, yesterday, and tomorrow. And unfortunately, that has been delayed by our governor not calling the special election until November the 4th. So we're looking at a special election being held November 4th. It will be a general election. So that means no primary, just everybody who's filing, whether you are Republican or a Democrat or an independent, everybody will be on one ballot at the same time, and it's going to be the only thing on the ballot. So low voter turnout is something that people are predicting. We want to prove them wrong. We want our folks to get the word out. We want them to do what they say can't be done, and that is turn out this vote in a crucial election. The old adage, I don't have to tell you, that if you're not at the table, you are what's on the menu, and our community is tired of being on the menu. And we want to be setting the stage for our futures. And that means healthcare access, education, rights, women's rights, all of these things that we fought for, everything we fought for before the presidential election, we need to be fighting for today. And that's what's at stake with this November 4th election.
How can people find you?
Well, you can visit our website. So, of course, you can check out more information about me. You can donate as well and sign up to volunteer, even virtually, at www.edwardsforhouston.com. You can also follow me on social media. I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter, AK Edwards TX. I'm also on TikTok. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Amanda K. Edwards TX. So you can find me there as well. And maybe you can find me line dancing here and there.
Okay.
I
Do
should have
you
said that was one of my secret talents.
okay, do you have a
He's
fan?
asked me to do the Tamia dance, and I don't know it yet, y'all. So don't ask me to do that. I
Well,
will.
no, 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 no. I'm
Definitely
asking,
do
do
it.
you have a fan? Are you where the fans at?
I
Are
listen.
you
I have a senior conference every year. I'm not kidding. Those seniors do not play, and they will pop that fan out so fast and pop, and they will have their, I mean, they go fancy footwork time. They get advanced, and I'm like, can we stay in
okay?
the simple mode and reduce spins? But they love it. So I love my seniors too, and so we always have fun doing a little bit of line dancing with them.
Well, that sounds like fun. We thank you for being with us tonight. Again, we have your website up. Um, there we go. www.edwardsforhouston.com. And also, the election is on November the 4th,
Got it.
and it is a general election.
So everybody
Everybody's on the
vote.
ballot. Um, so, what's one word you hope people associate with you when they think about your leadership?
The truth.
Okay. And there we have it, the truth. Thank you for joining us, Sister Amanda. We wish you the best of luck in November, and we will be keeping an eye out on your election to see what happens. Thank
Okay.
you for coming. All right, gang, that has been another great episode of Candid Candidate Conversation. We just got a few announcements to wrap up because if you want to join us on Candid Candidate Conversations, we're here on Tuesday nights, and so scan that QR code so you can sign up and claim your spot. We're about to update our chart with some new dates. So we are looking for candidates who are running in 2025. We are also continuing the Sisters Lead, Sisters Vote. Um, Black women candidates. We are still looking for Black women candidates who are running in 2025. You should go to the Sisters Lead, Sisters Vote website and check out the great candidate, Black women candidate yearbook from 2024. When you sign up, you'll become part of that yearbook, but we also help to amplify your leadership and your elections. So if you know a Black woman who is running in 2025, make sure that she signs up so we can share her information and leadership with all of our Win with Black Women and Sisters Lead, Sisters Vote network. With that, we are coming to a close. We just want to thank you again. Make sure that you click like and then share. This video, along with all of our candidate videos, are on the Sisters Lead, Sisters Vote and the Win with Black Women YouTube page so that you can keep sharing and amplifying. Again, thank you and good night.